다 드린들이야 드네 가상 공도 주변에 신기 마바 계속 마블로스는 규베 규리시 왕의 담아 섬유미게버 예배 나네 발도지 셈베기 제나 노두지 제스미버레
As I mentioned yesterday, I have now given you the initiations of Vajrasattva, which is an initiation from the inconceivable number of initiations and instructions that Marpa the translator had in the 4 classes of Tantra.
那么，按照昨天所讲的，今天给大家传译了这个马尔巴大师的传承之中思绪之中的诸多不可思议的观点，以及窍诀中的金刚萨埵的授权修持观点。
大的呢，就大的了，可是说的，大的可说呀，这当通么为推呢，通么为夸通么为推呢，大的爬都。 되네 교암 균롱 토숨기 왕기 되네 디바 넘버 나서지 사요래 다 대양 류라 류기 왕보 캬바나신 디무 데 에네 가서야지 탐제래야 요모 탐제를 캡니에 인두산에 디 개보도 ane le kade saba ine ya chagdani la mademba masibi indusane digida chagdani bode lombo dobo tene le soxe 시험 소시에더부터 가르쳐 되어서나 루나 이좀 그런 기관에 소고 예비 인두산에 디균전 때네 딱한다 굴로 투숨기 그네 람베 다 루나 이숨기 디범미게와 지 코아 토마메베 뒤네 다달러 토고 봐도 지사예 봐야 이네야 탐제 르란데 아 샤바치아디 에 아주 초사연라 딩기 나네 다 개시주지 차디야네
From beginningless samsara up until now, motivated by the cause, the motivation of the 3 poisons, we have committed various different misdeeds and wrongs. And so just as our body is pervaded or permeated by our sense of touch, likewise all of the afflictions are permeated by delusion. And so delusion is like the king. And so just as any action that we do, we need to do by means of our 2 hands, just as any action we do also is motivated by desire and hatred. Desire and hatred are therefore like the ministers for committing the actions. And then the basis from which we must commit any action is with our body, speech, and mind. And so in this way, motivated by the 3 poisons, we have committed from the beginningless samsara until now, we have committed many different misdeeds with our body, speech, and mind. And so now we need to take them all mentally, and we need to confess them. This is the most important of the 7 branches in the 7-branch prayer.
那么一般来说，从无始以来，轮回至今，我们以各种的因或各种的动机，以三毒的这个烦恼障碍和所知障碍造作了诸多的恶业，以这个身口意三门具足这个以痴心造作了一切罪业，就如同国王一般，驱使着我们，无论做何事都会成为贪嗔的这个本性。比方说，如杀生的话，在身口意的造作这个杀生业，它以这个三毒为动机，使三门造出这样的业。所以从无始以来，我们一定要念及从无始以来自己所造的一切罪障，并进行忏悔。那么这个忏悔法门，在这个极致进藏之中至关重要。
딜레야 디고 가시 문주로 수도 예대봐 마체디 팔아냐외 수도 예대봐 데이누다 아주 겨왕오말레 사샤베 디바도 파샤네 소수기 미세드 체드라 사베 디바도 주이네야 체메레 미젠바 딘데 용데 야레 딘데 디균셀 때네 아주 남규 시대 쇼유기 방법 샤바체세다 쇼유기 방법 상계다 전주산바 다들은 지 이식이 젠는데 봐 디주기 이식이 시버 라데네 다 디버도 동화 차라 사변 파샤的제바 간지지에 베인베냐 탐지 전에 샤베 유도 규백이 dene sangil shi samba yishi jen na deba nam chidar siwa nam shin da tam chi su su lue lang den da na shi rani gi sabe gi deba da dongwa chibo ma yin ba de ding do sem jen tam ji gi deba da jiba tam ji gi lang ni sha ba ya na rani gi geza sem jen tam ji gi deba da jiba tam ji ta be she do wa 심지어 탐지 상기 공방 탑에 쳐도 가져다 심지어 탐지 상기 공방 탑에 쳐도 샥바 쳐봐 나서 딘데 쳐이나 아니 샥바 디베 가져에 다야 슈쳐야 돼 디반 다야 슈쳐야 돼 샥바 샥즙 쳐야 돼 다 딘데 송도 예배 임바래
Some of the misdeeds that we have committed are evident to us, but most of them are latent. All of the misdeeds that we have done in our previous lives are latent. And many of the ones that we have also done in the first part of our lives, there are so many of them that we cannot remember all of them. And so we take all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as the witnesses in front of whom we make our confession. They all have the eye of wisdom, and so they see our misdeeds just as they are. And so we then take mentally all of the misdeeds, whether they are latent or visible, and we confess them just as, and we take them with our mind just as they are seen by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and we confess them. Now, when we confess them, we do not only confess our own misdeeds. We also take all of the misdeeds and obscurations of all sentient beings and confess those as well. Alternately, we can also dedicate all of our own roots of virtue so that all of the misdeeds and obscurations of other sentient beings will also be purified. We can dedicate them so that all sentient beings, we can dedicate them so that we are confessing, or we confess them with the dedication so that all sentient beings may achieve the state of Buddhahood. And if we confess in this manner, then it is a confession that has a greater power to purify our misdeeds.
那么谈到这个罪障的话，这有很多的罪障，也很明显，但也有很多罪障是非常的隐蔽。所以呢，不要说到前世所造的罪障，就连自己这一生中的上半辈子所造的业，下半辈子都很难记起。 所以呢，在忏悔的时候，一定要将忏悔的对境作为具足慧眼的一切诸佛菩萨。所以呢，一切具足慧眼的诸佛菩萨将成为忏悔的对境。那么，当在做忏悔的同时呢，不仅仅只是将自己所造的一切恶业当作是所要忏悔的恶业，而是将合同自己的恶业，合同普天底下的一切众生所造的恶业，都将在这个具足慧眼的诸佛菩萨近前进行忏悔，而且或者是以自己所造的一切善业，希望可以利益到普天底下的一切众生，愿他们能够成佛，愿他们能够往生净土。以这样的忏悔方式的话，忏悔的力度就会非常的大，而且罪障也更容易得以清净。
다들 지당기 아주 지르기 지당기 디보다 양지 돈바숨단 게 다 디보디 다 지당기 디보레 지가를 지와 그 디보 채워요 이 순도 아래 다 되려야 변하지 소수타바당 전주선바 전주선배당 전주선배 동바 다는 신기 사와는 증아이 동바 다 되게 고마人배신도 송가 가와르지 예반 중라와 송가 아들이 뉴스안에 조지 반대 어디샤기 다 공기 구진 알로레야 ane susu tabegi cheba tamu chunji gyang gema sons chenju senbegi donga kashi chungsons sanga gi denebe garshwada donga de charshin do bayu ngudus mangu shichi dende sumbala sawada dana singi pena sasha pena desert dabji 가서 채탄럽지나야 멜론지 장마 치제 멜론지 장마지 치제 다디 에네 사자 가서 냥암 그 탄럽지 채탄럽지 샤샤나 second somewhere 가셔지 망고 디가 람상 가서다 둘 고용으로스 둘다 채만 고용으로스 대다 차송바 상황하기 다 조데 소소타바데 조다 룽아가 순하르지 룽아가 순서 조르시샤 다데네 전주샘데다 델레기한테스 다 룽아가 난 조다 룽아 지고 마이바 야지 가르다 셈기 토안는보다 망보지 송과를 쳐가 알아 상화를 증아이 domba사데 텔레기암베 칼라카르지 아드린 주스타타 딘데 순와르스 칼라카보여 순와르 드레 순여베 인두산타 디 조지 반데데 샤르키 미지기 컨디션다 상화 딘데베 칼라카보 싶으시는 니돈 중라와 송가와 딘데 제나타 파지 미탐제 가르다 상하게 지금 우르 루야사데 바지 용아 매브 드레 컨디슈드 산다데 개봐야 말았어 니바 동화 가르지 사베네 다 탐지 정토베 당화여 제제 아니 도지센베게 데네 가르다 냠렌디 송이 바래 드레 루산다 도지센베 냠렌디 다 domba숨던 게베 딕동 샤발라 초동아바이 인수마레
Now there are the general sorts of misdeeds that we commit, but the misdeeds that are connected with the three vows are even weightier than those. They are greater misdeeds. And so the three vows are the vows of the Pratimoksha, the vows of individual liberation, the Bodhisattva vows, and the mantra vows of the Vajra holders. And each of these levels of vows is even more difficult to keep, and it is more easy to commit a downfall. The Lord Atisha said that in his own life, he did not even have even the smallest violation of his pratimoksha vows. With the bodhisattva vows, he had a few downfalls. But with the secret mantra vows, downfalls fell like rain. So this is what he said. It's like when you have in a desert, if you take a mirror, you have a clean mirror, you wipe it completely clean and you leave it in a desert. Within a few seconds, it will be covered with sand. And so it is the same with the violations of the mantra vows of the Vajra holders. The vows of individual liberation are primarily something that we keep with our body and speech, so they are relatively easy to keep. The bodhisattva vows are not just the body and speech, there are also some precepts of the mind, and so that also have to be kept. But the secret mantra vows are even more difficult to keep than that, it is said. And so it is said that another time there was someone who came to Atisha and said to him, "It seems like the secret mantra is so difficult. It is so easy to break the commitments and to have downfalls. You'd think that no one would ever want to come to take any dharma of the secret mantra." But Atisha replied that there was no problem with this because no matter how many downfalls or violations you might have, we have the instructions for purifying them. And then he taught the practice of Vajrasattva. And so if we do the practice of Vajrasattva, then this is the greatest remedy for purifying all of the misdeeds and downfalls that are connected with the three vows.
那么一般来说，与三界有关的这个罪过呢，它将是非常的重大。比方说在三界之中的别解脱戒或者菩萨戒或者密乘戒，只要它是越往上层的这些戒律，它就越难守护。如果触犯了这些戒条的话，它的罪障就会越大。那么阿底峡尊者就曾经讲过，在他的一生之中，他没有触犯任何别解脱戒的，就连细微的戒也没有触犯。但是菩萨的誓言稍微有一些触犯，密乘戒就更为甚了。所以呢，这些戒律呢，就像我们将一个非常明亮的一个镜子擦得非常的干净，将这面镜子放在沙漠之中的时候，不过一会儿一刹那就会盖上很多的灰尘。同理呢，在这个别解脱戒，虽然说它只是身口所要手持的一个戒律。然后菩萨戒呢，它是并非仅是身口，而还要加上意的一些守护。那么密乘戒就更为艰难，所以阿底峡尊者也就是如是说。当时就有人问这个阿底峡尊者，那么既然密乘戒这么难以守护，如果触犯了他的戒条的话，罪过又这么大，那么我们怎么才能依靠这个密乘戒获得悉地呢？当然阿底峡尊者虽然罪障再大，他也可以得到清净。那么想要得到清净，就必须去修持金刚萨埵的这个修持方法，因为在净除三界的一切罪障之中，金刚萨埵的修持忏悔法门最为殊胜。
大家来啊，第一道来啊，这多西，但女本就嘛说多的西参过来送，但多西哪里讲的开始学的，俺些人决心，亲切人动心。다디 안주 디 개체 무시 차리야래 제상 아주기 벤 돈바숨기 가르쳐야돼 다디응엔데 두 시야션 좀
In order to purify our misdeeds and obscurations, there are the four powers. These are four forces or four powers that must be present to purify misdeeds. The most important of these are regret for our misdeeds of the past and the resolve never to commit them again. So these two are the most important.
那么在进入这个忏悔法门的时候，就必须运用到这个四力的对治法。那么在四力对治法之中，它的重点就是对于之前所造的一切罪障心生忏悔之心，对于以后要心生这个守护之心，这是至关重要的，在三界当中。
다 드네 위치네. 다 간다를 가르쳐에. 도스 셈베기. 거기 디제. 다 드네 원주시 투모메비 원주시의 가장 다지 시에는 삼성 다디 마시 시야기 저지로데 아부 뭐좀체. 다지 체나 고수 원주 단계 주마죠. 투모메비 원주시 단계 주마서를 미세 수르도 그 규디 접질이야 용지들이 수르도 다지 가르쳐야 마치지 잡나 야가면로 삼바르지 나딘데 미망부르체 엔디토리아 저리도 야부 나랑게 저리스 거다 아 맞지 티야 저리도 시라메 없이 도세 누산에 야부지 용서 말해 제자들이 이제 다 도지 선배왕한테네 담질러야 토요아래 근데 규모 메인비 원주시 티디 ene zuma solea surdo tia to sin shuai didn't teach you means
Originally, I had thought that I would teach on the 4 special preliminary practices, but I did not prepare myself well for it, so I have not prepared myself for it. And what I thought is maybe I would give these instructions to the nuns from Tilakpur separately. They can those of them who are doing the preliminary practices can come up to Juta and I can give them the instructions at that point. Today there are many different people who have come here and I have really not prepared well at all this, so I don't feel like I can give good instructions today. So you have all now received the instructions, or you've all now received the empowerment of Vajrasattva, and I will give the instructions on the 4 special preliminaries to the nuns separately, and so I shall not teach them today.
那么金刚萨埵的修持灌顶就是这么多。然后昨天有讲过，今天要讲解这个不共同的4前行。但是觉得自己没有准备好，然后就想着，那些要修不共4前行的尼师们，想可能他们需要在一个特别的时间，然后来到上密院，可能要特别的为他们做一些引导，再加上今天这里有很多人，当然要传授不共法门也有所不便，所以我自己也没有什么准备。那么，以上就是金刚萨埵灌顶已经灌顶结束。那么对于这个不共4前行的引导呢，那么就另找时间来特别对尼师们做开示和引导。